Salams and welcome to Taraweeh. Number 10 tonight is the 10th night of the Taraweeh, and by the 10th night, we're already one third of the way through in Ramadan. And we know that the Ramadan is broken up into three thirds. The first 10 nights is the nights of mercy, the second 10 nights is that of forgiveness, and the third 10 nights is that from Jahannam, from freedom of the fire. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower all of us with mercy in the first 10 nights. And now we're coming through the 10 nights of forgiveness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive you and your family, me and my family, and the ummah. So let's look at tonight's Taraweeh. And that is why we need to increase our istighfar and astaghfirullah in the month of Ramadan. Allahumma innaka afwan karim tibul afafa anni. Allahumma innaka afwan karim tibul afafa anna, and so on, right? So tonight's Taraweeh consists of 3/4 of Wama min dabba and the first half of Wama ubarriyu. The surahs covered are the end of Surah Hud, which is chapter 11. Then we look at Surah Yusuf, which is chapter number 12, and the first third of chapter number 13, which is Surah Rod. And we coming now to the end of Surah Hud. Hud alayhi salam, the Prophet Hud, preached to his people, the art people, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to worship no other God except the one God, the Creator Supreme, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, they rejected Allah and His message. They continued to believe in other gods and remained too proud to listen to the truth. Thereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wiped out these disbelievers by sending the punishment. Then came the Thamud people in the time of Salih alayhi salam, acted selfishly by denying the she-camel to feed on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's earth. They denied her the water. They hamstrung her, they cut her hamstring ligaments, and the punishment overtook these people as well. Then we come to Lut alayhi salam. His people practiced evil habits. Ibrahim alayhi salam pleaded for them to be saved from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment. Lut alayhi salam asked them to change their ways because they practiced their lust on men instead of women, but to no avail. These people were blotted out. The towns of Sodom and Gomorrah, which is also near the Dead Sea, which we find today. So Shuaib alayhi salam's people, the Madanites, were warned against fraud and mischief, but they refused to listen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's apostle and were destroyed. Proud and arrogant leaders like Fir'aun misled people and brings ruin upon himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most just al-adl. The penalty for sin is indeed great. Therefore, we need to shun all evil and serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wholeheartedly. Let's look at one or two verses from Surah Al-Hud before we complete this section. Verse number 105, the day it arrives, no soul shall speak except by his permission. Of those gathered, some will be wretched and some will be blessed. Those who are wretched shall be in the fire. There will be for them therein nothing but the heaving of sighs and sobs. And those who are blessed shall be in the garden. They will dwell therein for all the time that the heavens and the earth endure, except as your Lord wills, a gift without break. Then in verse number 114, we see an established regular prayers at the two ends of the day and at the approaches of the night. For those things that are good, remove those that are evil. Be that the word of remembrance to those who remember their Lord, and be steadfast in patience, for verily Allah will not suffer the reward of the righteous to perish. Now let's look at Surah Yusuf, and we all know the fabulous surah in the Quran. So chapter Yusuf and his story of how he was taken into bondage. He was sold by his brothers, was thrown into the well. And then he was taken to slavery to Egypt, from where he was then he was then thrown into jail. From there, he became then the king or the minister of finance or the prime minister of Egypt. And then afterwards, his 12 brothers and everyone came to him. At least 11 of his brothers came to him, and all of those was foretold in a dream that he had. Right? But let's look very briefly. This deals with the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, one of the 12 sons of Yaqub alayhi salam. The story is called one of the most beautiful stories in the Quran for three reasons. Firstly, it is the most detailed story in the Quran. It is full of the ups and downs in human fortune. Therefore, it has appealed to people of all classes and at all times. It describes fully with their moral meanings the different walks of life and people's attitudes and behaviors. For example, Yaqub alayhi salam's own old age and the love between him and his young son, the elder brother's jealousy of Yusuf alayhi salam, their plot and their father's sorrow, the sale of the father's darling son into slavery for a miserable price. Then sexual love contrasted with purity and modesty, false charges, imprisonment and interpretation of dreams, low life and high life, innocence raised to honor, the sweet revenge of forgiveness and kindness, and matters dealing with ruling a country, the constant remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in spite of reaching a high position in life, and the beauty of piety and truth. So many lessons we can learn from this magnificent story of the Prophet Yusuf or Joseph alayhi salam. Life is only as short as a dream that can be explained by stories and parables. Whatever Yusuf alayhi salam saw in his dream angered his 10 half brothers. They made secret plans to get rid of him. They sold him as a slave to a merchant for a small price. The merchant took him to Egypt, where a high court official, Aziz, bought and adopted him. His wife tried without success to seduce Yusuf alayhi salam. Because he refused, she decided to take revenge on him. He was falsely disgraced and accused falsely and sent to jail. Even there he taught the truth and was known for his kindness. One of his fellow prisoners to whom he had interpreted a dream was released and became the king's cupbearer. The king had a dream, which Yusuf alayhi salam, through the cupbearer's recommendation, explained. The king wanted to release him, but Yusuf alayhi salam made it clear that all gossip against him should be publicly cleared. He wanted his name to be cleared before he is released. The king was much impressed and made him the chief minister. His half-brothers came to Egypt to buy corn because there was drought in Canaan. He treated them kindly without them knowing his identity. He asked them to bring his full brother, his youngest son, Benjamin. He detained Binyamin, which in modern terms we know is a Benjamin, but he retained Binyamin by a plan. He then accused his half-brothers of their hatred and crime against himself. Yusuf alayhi salam then revealed his identity to his brothers, forgave them, and sent them to bring the rest of the family to Egypt. Yaqub alayhi salam was finally united with Yusuf alayhi salam once more, and he settled in Egypt. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name was glorified. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's truth will last forever, and his purpose will be fully revealed in the hereafter. So let's look at just very few verses of this, just as a reminder of the full story. In verse 2 we see, "We have sent it down as an Arabic Quran in order that you may learn wisdom. Behold, Joseph said to his father, O my father, I did see 11 stars and the sun and the moon. I saw them prostrate themselves to me. Said the father, My dear little son, relate not your vision to your brothers, lest they concoct a plan against you, for Satan is to man an avowed enemy. Thus will your Lord choose you and teach you the interpretation of stories and events, and perfect his favor to you and to the posterity of Jacob, even as he perfected it to your fathers Abraham and Isaac aforetime, for Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. They said, O our father, why do you not trust us with Joseph, seeing we are indeed his sincere well-wishers? So they did take him away, and they all agreed to throw him down to the bottom of the well. And we put into his heart this message, Of a surety, you shall one day tell them the truth of this, their affair, while they know you not. Verse 21, The man in Egypt who bought him said to his wife, Make his stay amongst us honorable. Maybe he will bring us much good, or we will adopt him as a son. Thus did we establish Joseph in the land, that we might teach him the interpretation of stories and events. And Allah has full power and control over his affairs, but most among mankind know it not. Verse 23 we read, But she in whose house he was sought to seduce him from his true self. She fastened the doors and said, Now come you, dear one. He said, Allah forbid. Truly your husband is my Lord. He made my sojourn agreeable. Truly no good come to those who do wrong. In verse 33 he said, O my Lord, the prison is more to my liking than that to which they invite me. Unless you turn away their snare from me, I should in my youthful folly feel inclined towards them and join the ranks of the ignorant. Now with him there came into the prison 2 young men. Said one of them, I see myself in a dream pressing wine. Said the other, I see myself in a dream carrying bread on my head, and birds are eating thereof. Tell us, they said, the truth and meaning thereof, for we see that you are one that does good to everyone. Verse 43, the king of Egypt said, I do see in a vision 7 fat cows, whom 7 lean ones devour, and 7 green ears of corn, and 7 others with it. O you chiefs, expound to me my vision, if it be that you can interpret visions. Joseph said, For 7 years shall you diligently sow, as is your wont, and the harvest that you reap you shall leave in them in the year, except a little, of which you shall eat. Then will come after that period 7 dreadful years, which will devour what you shall have laid by in advance for them, all except a little, which you shall have specially guarded. Verse 54, So the king said, Bring him unto me, I will take him specially to serve about my own person. Therefore, when he had spoken to him, he said, Be assured this day you are before our presence with rank firmly established and fidelity fully proved. Thus did we give established power to Joseph in the land to take possession therein, as when or where he pleased. We bestow of our mercy on whom we please, and we suffer not to be lost the reward of those who do good. But verily, the reward of the hereafter is the best for those who believe and are constant in righteousness. Then came Joseph's brethren, they entered his presence, and he knew them, but they knew him not. And verse 69 we see, Now when they came into Joseph's presence, he received his full brother to stay with him. He said to him, Behold, I am your own brother, so grieve not at anything of their doings. Verse 83, Jacob said, Nay, but you have yourselves contrived a story good enough for you. So patience is most fitting for me. Maybe Allah will bring them back all to me in the end, for he is indeed full of knowledge and wisdom. And he turned away from them and he said, How great is my grief for Joseph. And his eyes became white with sorrow, and he fell into silent melancholy. Oh, my sons, go you and inquire about Joseph and his brother, and never give up hope of Allah's soothing mercy. Truly, no one despairs of Allah's soothing mercy except those who have no faith. Verse 90. They said, Are you indeed Joseph? He said, I am Joseph, and this is my brother. Allah has indeed been gracious to us all. Behold, he that is righteous and patient, never will Allah suffer the reward to be lost of those who do right. He said, This day let no reproach be cast on you. Allah will forgive you, and he is the most merciful of those that show mercy. Verse 99, Then when they entered the presence of Joseph, he provided a home for his parents with himself, and said, Enter you Egypt with all in safety, if it pleases Allah. O my Lord, you have indeed bestowed on me some power, and taught me something of the interpretation of dreams and events. O you, creator of the heavens and the earth, you are my protector in this world and in the hereafter. Take you my soul at death as one submitting to your will as a Muslim, and unite me with the righteous. That's the end of chapter 12. Now let's look very briefly at the first third of Surah Ra'd, which is chapter number 13 for tonight, which is the 10th Taraweeh. This surah deals with the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows himself to mankind. In spite of this, why do people don't believe? First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals his message through his creation and the fixed laws ruling the nature on the earth and in the sky. He also reveals his message by revelation. In the world, one can see life and death following each other at all times. In winter, plants and trees seem dead. The coming of spring gives new life and beauty to the vegetation. But the unbelievers ask, when we are dust, shall we actually then be in a new creation? Look at their ignorance. They mock at the idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish them because Allah's punishment has not reached them yet for their wrongs. They want to see signs of his power rather than of his mercy. But don't they know that these signs of Allah's power and glory can be seen in the thunder and lightning? Only Allah is the all-knower. All creation praises him. Good will last, whereas evil will be destroyed. That brings us to the end of tonight's Taraweeh, which is the 10th Taraweeh, which brings us to the first third of Ramadan, which is the first 10 days is that of mercy. And now we are starting with the middle third of Ramadan, which are the days of forgiveness. And then we'll starting with the last 10 days. And the last 10 days, remember, the odd nights of the last 10 days are the nights of Lay-la-tul Qadr. Stay well, look after yourself. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.